Hi there, my name's Jude Wilson and I'd like to share this video about the fight, flight and freeze response. Now, what is anxiety? People at the moment are having to come out of the comfort zone. What they would usually do to manage stress and anxiety, perhaps they're not able to do that at the moment because of the lockdown and all of the things that's kind of happened in regards to that. People may well be starting to feel anxious when perhaps in the past they've never experienced that before. And that can be really quite a scary thing. I wanted to share this video just to talk a little bit about the anxiety response and what that means and where it comes from. As a mental health nurse, and also because it's Mental Health Awareness Week, I thought what better time to do a video such as this. So going back millions of years to when we first evolved as humans. Now at that time our life was very different. We had to fight to survive, we had to kill to eat, we had to run away, we had to freeze in order to hide. And life, because it was so perilous, we needed to have a quick response to be able to deal with that. And we were given the fight, flight, freeze response. And at that time, when we were put under fear of danger, death, the body would prepare us by flooding out all of these adrenaline, cortisol, these stress hormones, and we would be given the strength to be able to deal with the situation. We'd be able to fight the predator, and we'd use that physical activity. We would do what we needed to do, and then the situation would be resolved until the next time, of course. Now, that's exactly where the fight-flight response comes into action, and that's what it's very good at, protecting us when we're in mortal peril. Now, fast forward to today, very rarely are we in positions where we are in mortal peril, unless of course we live in a war-torn area. Instead, a lot of our stress is more chronic in nature, so it's stress around finances, work, relationships, children, pain, physical health conditions. A lot of these problems tend to be ongoing and they don't necessarily have one form of resolve. And because of that, it affects us in a different way. We're not getting that instant burst of adrenaline to protect us and then doing the activity, being physically active and burning off them chemicals. Unfortunately, the chemicals just kind of sit there and build and build and build. Now, in certain cases, the fight, flight, freeze response is brilliant. If we step out in front of a car, it will help to protect us. It will give us that strength to pull us back. It will heighten our senses. And that is when it really comes into action. It does protect us. But it's the other stressors that tend to be more in the forefront of our daily existence nowadays. So when we become stressed, we tend to have an outpouring of these chemicals, and they tend to just drip at a low level a lot of the time. And because we're not necessarily as physically active as what we perhaps should be, and of course because them stresses tend not to be easily able to kind of resolve, them problems continue, the stress tends to build, the hormones tend to continue. And as a result, that over time can cause problems. And it may be that people aren't even aware that they're stressed, and might even not be aware that they're anxious until one thing, perhaps just one insignificant thing, just tips us over that edge. And from then we start to get the panic, the horrible feelings. So when we become anxious, what physiological changes does that make? Well, it can cause us to have stomach problems, diarrhea, constipation, or jumping between the two, pains in our body, pains in our muscles, pains in our neck, headaches, tension, tingling in the fingers, numbness, blurred vision, headaches, breath problems, not being able to catch your breath, palpitations where your heart beats fast, sweats. All of these things can occur, and there's more as well. And quite often that can be very frightening because we don't actually know whether or not there's something physically underlying. And of course you need to still get things checked out by a GP just to make sure that the problem is relating to stress and not something else. Now, because of these experiences that we're having, it can become very frightening and very fearful. We obviously want to learn to be able to manage these a little bit better. Now, just to give you a little bit understanding about our nervous system, we have two sections in our nervous system. We have the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which runs the fight, flight, freeze response. We've also got the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which runs the rest and repair response. And ideally, the two need to work in harmony. We need to have plenty of time to rest and repair so we can do cell building and recovery, and all of these things can repair our body. Unfortunately, when we are stressed, the rest and repair part of the nervous system tends to go a little bit on hold. Because when we're stressed, like I've said, the body needs to protect itself. All of the major systems in the body that are there to protect will be focused on. So, likes of the heart, the lungs, the muscles. Other parts of the body that aren't perhaps so important, say for example the immune system, they aren't deemed as necessary, because although the immune system is really important in an emergency when we're trying to protect ourselves from a predator, we don't need to do cell regeneration, do we? And of course the body doesn't understand that actually we're not in mortal peril. It thinks that this is just a temporary solution, but in fact, when them stress levels continue over a period of time, it means that the immune system isn't going to get that opportunity to rest and repair, to rebuild and regenerate all of them cells. And that's unfortunately where autoimmune disorders come in. High blood pressure, heart problems, all of these issues, these chronic problems that can occur in relation to problems with stress, because the balance between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system is just not there. Now, the good news is you can learn ways to help the rest and repair part of the nervous system to become more active. And that's one of the things that we look at when we look to manage anxiety more effectively. And what I would love to do in my next video would be to discuss a little bit more in depth some perhaps more creative ways of managing anxiety than perhaps you've maybe not heard before. So the next video shall hopefully be a lot shorter, but I look forward to you listening in and hopefully getting some good information that you can use to help you feel more relaxed every day. Thank you.